you're up on the chain there. When people write things in the keyword on Google, that's going to be the first ones that people see, of course, which will also be the first ones people will click on.
Yep.
And what ends up happening is, let's say, Russell, you're a owner of a property and you write on the internet, fast cash offer San Diego, because that's where you live.
Mm-hmm.
So what people do with these SEO sites is they buy all these keywords. They may throw monthly money into the websites. They're doing blogs. They have podcasts all attached, backlinks, all these things. What it does is it ranks your site higher, higher, and higher. So what happens is the people who have the top sites produce the most inbound leads.
Welcome back, everyone, to Real Estate Junkies Coast to Coast. I'm your co-host, Russell Ham, on the West Coast. Steve, on the East Coast. Say hi, Steve.
Hey, Russell. It is good to be here. The weather's nice. The birds are chirping. Everyone's happy. I'm going to go to the beach today and get my passes done. I am ready to transition to some flip-flops, buddy.
That's right, flip-flops. I'm going golfing tomorrow, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice. Very cool. Steve, let's dive in to systems. Before we press record, we were talking about what you're doing. You're gonna talk about that in our cool down session. This is our warm up session. Let's talk about systems. And so for us in our community, the Wicked Smart community, we have a particular lead source called My Plus Leads. And we can put that in the show notes if you guys ever want to dive into that. Now, My Plus Leads is primarily for expireds, cancellations, withdrawals, right? And or for rep by owners and for sell by owners, right? So those kind of are three major lead sources for the creative space. And the reason why we do those is we want off market homes that the sellers had a hard time selling. And we're going to come in and offer them a different solution as long as they can wait for their money, right? And that's kind of what we do. Steve, talk about some other ways of getting lead sources.
Yeah. So a couple of them too. Another one in the community that people use would be PropStream.
Mm-hmm.
So PropStream is interesting because PropStream gives you the ability to not only access some of the ones that Russell just said, but you can actually pinpoint and filter like very specific things. For example, in the community, when people are looking to buy, let's say, a free and clear property, what they'll do, they'll go into PropStream, they'll write in, maybe it's the area in which they're looking to buy homes, and then they'll filter stuff like out of state owners, free and clear properties. Maybe they own 3 or more properties. A home is vacant, right? So what they're doing is they're filtering a situation where there is going to be the highest likelihood that owner financing would be a fit for this person. So it gives you the ability to really dial into something specific for a niche wise, so that you already know that when I go into this, at least there's a higher likelihood of working with them. And also it gives you the ability to send out postcard campaigns. There's like a limitless stuff to do. And there's so many different types of ways of marketing. Russell said like I said, he said My Plus Leads, which is what the community typically uses. You got PropStream. There's what's called PPC, which is pay per click. That would be Google advertising. So you probably see when you go on the internet and you look up, say, a product, you'll see the link, but then you'll see something above that says advertising. So people will pay $65 like a click, meaning someone goes and clicks on it. It charges them $65, and then they capture that lead so that they can go and call them. And they just set monthly budgets, so they pay per click. And then there's companies that are called pay per lead. Pay per lead, if you've ever heard of SEO, search engine optimization, what that basically is, people have websites that they are trying to make the top ranked website, right? The higher you're up on the chain there. When people write things in the keyword on Google, that's going to be the first ones that people see, of course, which will also be the first ones people will click on.
Yep.
And what ends up happening is, let's say, Russell, you're a owner of a property and you write on the internet, fast cash offer San Diego, because that's where you live.
Mm-hmm.
So what people do with these SEO sites is they buy all these keywords. They may throw monthly money into the websites. They're doing blogs. They have podcasts all attached, backlinks, all these things. And what it does is it ranks your site higher, higher, and higher. So what happens is the people who have the top sites produce the most inbound leads.
Yep.
So what an inbound lead would be, instead of Russell cold calling people who are going to say to Russell, I don't want to talk to you, and hang up, there's inbound leads are awesome, because inbound leads is somebody who goes on their computer and they're searching for someone to buy their home. They land on a top ranked site, they fill out a web form, they press send, and then that lead goes to the owner of the website, who either calls on that person first, which is the easier leads to close, because they know a call's coming. They ask somebody to call them and they're looking for that person to buy the home. So it's a much hotter lead in comparison to calling someone cold. So that's what people do. They either have their own sites, produce their own leads for themselves, and they try to buy homes that way, which takes a lot of time and money, but it is incredibly valuable leads. And then there's what's called PPL companies, pay per lead companies, that they just have all these sites that all they do is they build the most top ranked sites around the country. They acquire leads in volume, but then they sell those leads to entrepreneurs that are looking for inbound leads only. So there's so many ways to acquire leads. You can go old school way, right, Russell? Driving for dollars.
Yeah.
You drive around, you look for sale by owner signs or homes that are distressed, and you call on those, right? There's so many different ways of doing it. There's referral based people. I talk to so many people that buy houses just from real estate agents that they're always paying them referrals. So the agent sees a property that's within their specific specs, and then they let them know. And all they do is when they get the lead from them and they close it, the realtor lists the house, and that's how they get paid. Or they give them a referral for finding the home if they decide to keep it. So there's so many ways to acquire leads and have the right systems in place. It's just a matter of what fits you now, maybe your budget now, what you're willing to spend, or what just makes sense for whatever your current situation is. But you can scale to any one of these when the time's right.
Yeah. So you brought up a lot of good points, right? When you first, and we're talking mainly our community, but there's other ways. If you're not in our community and you're a real estate investor, there's other ways to get leads. When you first come in, we try to keep those costs low, right? Just because you're learning about creative financing, you're learning about lease purchase owner financing. So we try to keep those costs low. You can try to get organic leads through SEO on your website where you're ranked high. However, you're not paying, or you're not paying for advertisement or like that. So there is a way to get organic through your SEO. We're not experts, but there are experts out there. So if you want, you can pay people to do it for you. But again, you're an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur is not free. But like you said, you can scale. So you may hypothetically get a few houses under contract. You've created some income based on those houses. Now you can scale, and you can say, okay, I want to ramp up my business. So I'm going to pay this company to get me leads. And those leads are going to be coming in. You can talk about it later, but those leads are coming in, and these are good leads. These are leads that you can probably close on pretty fast. However, there's a cost to it. So and there's huge companies out there that are buying these massive leads. If you're just a solopreneur and you want to keep the costs low, then you can go My Plus Leads. That's $100 a month. But if you want to scale and you have that income, there's other ways to capture those leads. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I could say a little bit more. Russell, you touched upon, depending on what your current budget is for these things, you can go the route of the cheaper bulk leads, right? And maybe you pay $50, $60 a month, right? And it may take you 300, 500 of those leads to close, because you don't know the motivation. You got to cold call through those lists to find the motivated leads. And then there's people that'll go and say, you know what, I'm going to spend $10,000 to $15,000 a month on postcards, because I know when I spend $15,000, I get 3 deals, and they just know their metrics. I send out this many, it's going to equal this many deals, and it's like clockwork. Other people say, you know what, I know my cost per deal. My cost per deal is every time I spend $4,000 on PPL leads, pay per lead leads, I know that ends up equaling somewhere around 25 leads, and I close every 13th lead, right? So like, it all still brings you back to the KPI stuff. Obviously you have to start a business and be able to be in business for 6 months, a year, to just collect the data to know what's my conversions of how many people I have to call just to get them live on the phone. Or once I have them on the phone, how many live people on the phone do I convert to leads? How many leads do I convert to appointments? How many appointments convert to offers? How many offers convert to actual contracts? How many contracts do I need to be able to sell a house? Like, you have to know all these numbers. And based off of all these different marketing chains, they're all going to have different numbers associated with them because they all come with different quality, different prices, different outreach. It's an endless world of scaling, but you have to start somewhere. You're not going to start in real estate and jump to the $20,000 a month in postcards. You're going to probably want to build a skill set first, right? How do you build a skill set? You usually start with stuff that's going to be cold calling, cheaper leads, so you can get better on the phone. You're going to be able to acquire a skill set just by purely through volume. And hopefully you're in some kind of coaching program that's going to give you the ability to be mentored and listen to recorded calls and be able to give you critiques so you can be better on the next ones. Because that, like Russell, we've talked about it a million times, but if you're just making the same call over and over again, you're probably not getting better. Maybe you feel more comfortable in your skin, but your information you're putting out is still getting back the same results and not working. That's a huge piece of being able to continue to evolve, is to personally evolve, right? And
Yeah,
be
that's
open.
that's insanity, right? You're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And you touched on it too. It's, in order to get real good, you got to have some sort of accountability or a coach to help you. And so you can send them your calls and they can critique it so you can get better and all that kind of stuff. You also touched upon, hey, 15K a month, if I get 3 deals and that 3 deals equals X amount, is it worth to pay $15,000 a month? Well, yes. If I can get 3 deals and they equate to 6 figures, then yes, $15,000 a month, 6 figures a month, $15,000 is well worth it. So it's all relative based on how much you're willing to pay each month, right?
100%. 100%. It's a world, real estate is, I think it's so appealing to people. And we've talked about this within the group and just with other people in the space. You can go to school to be a doctor or a surgeon and make or a lawyer. These are probably top paying careers, right? But when you actually look pound for pound, who are the most financially successful people, it goes like insurance and then it goes to real estate, which is wild because you can do those two things without a college degree.
Yep.
Isn't it wild? Like how it works? It's sales. At the end of the day, it's sales provides so many opportunities. And that's why they say it's $1 million skill. Whatever it is that you're selling, whether you're trying to buy and sell real estate, if you're mentoring and putting people in a place where they can now be successful and they can go ahead and you can build their business with them tandemly so that you put them in a position where now they're sprinting with somebody and that's showing them how to do deals, how not to make these gigantic mistakes because maybe you already have, and get them to get in a position to be financially stable in their business, whether they're trying to leave their job and their whole goal is to be able to use this real estate career to replace something so they can be a full-time entrepreneur. It's unbelievable how attainable. And now it's not easy. We talked about this earlier, Russell. Real estate isn't easy. It's super sexy at first.
Yeah, disclaimer. This is not easy.
No, it's not easy. It's very difficult work. Now I'll give you two sides of this and I'll let you move on from this, Russell. But I was a woodworker for 16 years and that wasn't easy either. Eventually I picked up the steam and the confidence where things got easier, but real estate, which obviously I've been doing it probably half the time, somewhere in like the 7 to 8 year area now. Just from doing stuff on houses too, way before that and selling houses myself. Nothing was more difficult than trying to build this real estate business from scratch. And the reason why I say that is not because there was a million things to do, is communicating on the phone. If you didn't ever have that experience before and getting good at that, it just takes a lot of work and practice. And it's more mentally tough than it is anything else, right? I'm used to being a manual laborer. Physical days are very difficult, but you get used to it. And you also have the right expectation that today's going to be like this because I've done this thing over and over again.
Right.
And real estate, you're building the skill set where like you're getting like a super quick bachelor's or associate's degree in psychology, because that's what learning to be good on the phone is. It is not what you think it is. It's not just, hey, I'm an extroverted person, right? I can talk on the phone or whatever it is. There's so much more about understanding people, patterns, how they receive information, not what you say, it's how you say it. That's where the skill set becomes difficult. And if you're not willing to change and learn and get better at communicating, you don't get anywhere. But when you do, sales, real estate, communicating, it affects you so much more than just your career in real estate. The way I communicate with my family, people I meet out in at a restaurant, at wherever it is, that skill set continues to go to these different avenues. And I think, Russell, maybe you can touch on that too. Has real estate given you an ability outside of real estate to really communicate better?
Oh yeah, I saw you in action at restaurants. How you communicate with others. I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. Yeah. So I guess we're doing skill set, mindset too. We're doing mindset, skill set, and systems. So the mindset, yeah, you're right. I was always very, I wouldn't say passive aggressive, but I avoided conflict at all costs. That was just my personality. It's like whenever I hear arguments or my wife, I don't think we may have gotten maybe 2 arguments our whole lives. This I avoid conflict at all costs. But now getting into real estate, talking to sellers, having to listen to their objections, having to pivot through conversation every day, thousands of conversations with these sellers who tell me no. And when I first started and they would tell me no, I would shut down and I would not make another call because I was like, that sucked. I'm not going to do this anymore. But once I got over that mental hump, as far as when they tell me no, I'm not going to die. It's just make that call again, go over and just do it again. Keep doing it. Send my call to my coach, get better at it. And now I'm just so much more smoother on the phone and I'm anticipating their objection. I'm looking forward to their objection now. And I can just reel off. I'm isolating that objection. You were real good about isolating objections. You isolate that objection. Hey, if I can solve that problem, what's preventing us from moving forward? So it's gotten so much better as far as communicating, not only with sellers, but in my life. Like I have better conversations with people now, which is weird. No, I appreciate that, Steve. Let's transition into, and kind of touches on what we were just talking about, our game plan, which is a lease purchase, and not necessarily the structure of a lease purchase, but the potential amount of money that you could make with a lease purchase. And then obviously there's other ways, because you were talking about different ways to get leads. Now the leads you're talking about are not necessarily for creative financing. They're for wholesaling. They're for fix and flip. They're for buy and holds, I think. Or what are the ones?
Yeah, no, you're not right. It's one of those things where I would say usually pay per lead and pay per click is marketed directly more towards fast cash offers. Things are going to happen fast. They're maybe more open to getting discounts, but obviously at the same time, which is cool about that world is you still get leads in that world that are going to be people who are looking for retail.
Yeah.
It just those kind of people who want retail in comparison to the people who are acquiring and paying for those leads aren't the best fit. So if you're a wholesaler that doesn't have any other exit strategies other than cents on the dollar, then you're going to be paying a lot for leads and not know what to do with them. The people that are the most successful buying those type of leads, they can do the wholesaling or the flipping or the buy and hold. So they just need to get it at a certain formula that makes sense. If they can't get it at that formula, they need to be able to pivot. And to be able to pivot to something that's going to be able to meet these people in the middle and get them to their retail, it would be either listing their houses if you're an agent, referring it to an agent so they can go ahead and get it under contract, doing something creative where you can give them what's the house is worth or potentially more if you can get the right term, right timeline, right? With a lease purchase, owner financing, or a sub two. And then there's stuff like novations that people do. Novations would be literally giving a seller the price that they want, and you just bring it to the market above, and whatever you make above that, you keep, and they get what they want. And there's all different versions of novation.
Right.
It's simplest form, but any kind of lead, wherever you get it, the person who has the most exit strategies has the biggest opportunity to be able to solve that problem. Real estate is a puzzle with a blindfold on.
There you
And
go.
you have to get excited when the pieces are scattered.
Right.
And that's how you get good at it, is you have to really love communicating with human beings. You have to really love helping and figuring out ways to get people from point A to point B when there's this big space in between in the middle that they have no idea what to do with, but they need someone that's innovative that can get them from A to B. And then the other side of it is being a good human being. And when whatever it is that you can provide can't help them, being honest and doing whatever you can to push them in the direction that best suits them. And if you can be able to combine all those things, be persistent, keep showing up, no matter how difficult it is, your business scales. You get to where you need to be. It's just all of those curveballs and getting kicked in the teeth. A lot of people are like, there's other ways to make money. And then they leave real estate, but it's so rewarding because it's a people's business and what comes with the house. People's first time being able to buy a home and how exciting that is for them. And them not having the ability to maybe do that with a bank and then something creative like we talk about on a daily basis, that gives them an opportunity that does not exist anywhere else. There's a lot of selfish benefits as the investor to being able to like get that nice warm fuzzy feeling that you just figured out a way for an owner of a property, someone who's hoping to buy a home, and in any other situation they would never come together.
Mm-hmm.
And you were able to make this thing work in a way that was like in complete harmony and everyone's happy, and a bank wouldn't be able to do that. So that's the enjoyment of real estate and how creative you can get.
Yeah, great point, right? Because the way we buy properties creatively, it's not easy. It's when sellers ask us, "Are you investors?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am an investor, but I'm paying full price." What you're talking about is some of these leads that are coming in. They're trying to get the house on pennies on the dollar, right? They're trying to maybe create some instant equity by offering a lower price, right? We don't do that. We offer, full market value. And that's why it, if people are like, why would you pay full price? We get our money on the buyer side, right? For example, a lease purchase, in our contract, it's a $10 consideration, right? Um, $10 to acquire a home. You find a rent to own buyer, you get a payday one, which is the down payment. You get a payday two, which is the monthly cash flow. And then you get your payday three, which is a combination of principal pay down and the markup that you created. So hypothetically, you pay $10 for this lease purchase, and it in my area, it could be a 6-figure deal, right? But it's not easy. These type of transactions are not easy. You have to have the right skill set, like you were talking about, how to talk to sellers. Again, we're not trying to convince them. We're trying to offer a different solution, right? We're not coming in at 70 cents on the dollar, acquiring the home and then flipping it or doing whatever. So it's a different mindset. It's a different skill set. That's not easy. However, the money that you make potentially is almost infinite, right? $10 to make 75,000 or six, right?
Think of this, Russell, right? And this is just in its simplest form, right? If you have the opportunity to make this much money, it's never going to be easy, no matter what it is.
Mhm.
There's a reason why a paper boy and a surgeon make different amounts of money,
Yeah.
right? If everybody could go and drive on a bike and throw stacks of paper at people's houses and make 6 figures, what would they do? There's a reason why no matter what niche of career you're in, no matter what it is, it comes with a cost. What is the cost of being a surgeon? It's 8 to 12 years of college after you've been in school for 8 to 12 years
Right.
already. So everything comes with a cost. You just have to choose what's good for you, what's not. The good thing about real estate, though, is you don't need to, like, you can literally go drop out of school in 8th grade, wait till you're 18 years old or whatever, and you can become a real estate agent if you just pass a test, right?
Right.
But there's so much options when it comes to real estate. You just have to figure out, and there's a million niches of real estate, right? Like you can buy houses in a million different ways. You can serve completely different people that you like. Some people focus on probate, right? They specialize in people who are going through very difficult times, houses turning over through estates, and people just do that, right? Some people focus on just for sale by owners who are real estate agents. Their job is to convert people who are trying to sell themselves to listings. There is literally a million niches within a niche in real estate, which is very exciting as well, because it gives you a lot of opportunities to choose whatever your personality is, where you thrive, where you may fit. And it's not just I'm going into this big basket of real estate. There's like a zillion buckets. You choose the one that fits best for you. But the thing that doesn't change is regardless, like any other job, you have to show up every day. And you have to know that when you start, you're not going to be great. But if you
Yep.
continue showing up, you follow yourself around with the right people, and you continue to network and ask for help, you'll get better. But you have to keep showing up. And I think the sexiness of real estate and what's on the internet of all these rented Lamborghinis from people claiming that they've done
Right.
deals for advertising purposes, that gets people excited. That's that initial
Oh,
list.
I can do that. I can be that guy. Right. Yeah.
Exactly. And it always is a huge grab to that middle class hard. Like I was the middle class manual laborer that was like, man, my back is killing me. I'm sick of being paid all the time. I can talk to people, right? I'll be a fit for this.
Yeah.
And it worked out because I kept showing up, but it was not easy. I had crazy thoughts in my head of the whole time of, man, I feel like at this time, part of my age, my part of my life, I'm good at everything I do. And it's because I only did things I was good at doing. I didn't challenge myself. I didn't go to uncomfortable places. And I think that's the difference, is that real estate, like anything you try new, is uncomfortable, but it won't be uncomfortable forever. But talking on the phone is probably the most uncomfortable place. But that's why it's so impactful when you learn how to do that, and why it stems off to how you raise kids, how you speak with your spouse, your family members. There's such value in real estate outside of real estate.
Yeah. And great point. Again, the creative space is not the only space. However, it's a good alternative, right? If you're wholesaling, and if wholesaling is almost like a job, right? You have to constantly keep getting those deals in order to get income to come in. That's why we love the creative space, because hypothetically, if you do offer pennies on the dollar and they don't want it, they're like, no, I want full price. Okay. How about we do this? So you can put different hats on even during that initial conversation. You can say, okay, uh, you owe money, or you're behind on your payments. I can do a sub two, but you can also switch your hat around and say, hey, I can buy your house, pennies on the dollar, and so you can get rid of this property and get rid of the headache. So there's different ways of doing it. Let's cool down. Thanks, Theo. Appreciate it. Let's cool down and transition to what you're doing now, right? So you were once a coach with me in the Wicked Smart community. Talk about what you're doing now and how you can maybe help some people. Again, I'm in the creative space. Steve is also doing creative work, but he's also transitioning out of the coaching into something else. I don't know, Steve, if you want to touch on what you're doing.
Yeah. We just talked about how much of a journey like real estate is, right? I remember when I first joined the community, I never did a real estate deal before other than painting my houses and building furniture and stuff like that, maybe selling it myself or something. But I knew real estate was going to be the vehicle to get me back into happiness and get my time back, meaning go be self-employed and basically be in a position where I could be passionate about something again and not feel like I'm banging my head against the wall and going back to prison willingly every single day. Like I felt when I was in the W-2 world. It was like, I'm literally putting handcuffs on myself and driving myself to jail again. What am I doing? And I did it for a long time. But I think it's important that you do these things to realize you acquire skill sets, so on and so forth. So then what came from doing real estate deals and being mentored turned into an opportunity to coach from being successful. I didn't know that stuff was available. There wasn't a coaching department when me and Russell, you guys joined. It was Zach and it was Chris. And opportunity came from us showing that we were valuable people that they partnered with and taught us to do deals. And that turned into coaching. And then coaching came like this passion that there was never anything in my career that I was so in love with. I love people. I love being able to be a part of people's stories. I love being vulnerable enough to make somebody feel safe around me so that they can be vulnerable. Now we can both have the ability to help each other through not only real estate, but whatever's holding us back in our personal life that's affecting real estate or your family, whatever it was. And then just from networking, you meet all these people, right? It could be vendors that we all use at events, meeting people, and just being able to have this butterfly effect of just these awesome people who are just monsters in the real estate space. So about 5 months ago, I had taken another chapter in my life and doing something different and still staying in real estate because I'm on this real estate journey. that I've been on here that's been wild because in not a very long amount of time, a little over 7 years now,
Yeah.
been in real estate, and all of these things have happened from continuing to show up.
Mm-hmm.
So now from that, I'm in a world I'm no longer coaching or mentoring. Maybe that will change. Maybe then in the future, someday I'll have the ability to do that again. But right now I'm in the marketing space of real estate, which I'll be the first one to tell you, and Russell, this, I am not good with technology.
No, you're not.
I am not. I type with my two fingers. I get really close to look at my keyboard because I can't see and I look like a 90-year-old man. But now I'm in the space of actually providing inbound SEO leads created from very highly ranked sites and selling them to people like yourself, Russell, people in the community who are looking for higher quality leads that take less time or less volume to be able to get a deal. And those type of people are people like that are in Smart Real Estate Coach community that are doing creative deals. Also people who are doing wholesaling. Maybe there's agents that also have an investment side where they both get listings and they get flips, whatever it is that they're looking to do. And what's been very interesting over the last 5 months is these people that I've been following on, let's say, whether it's podcasts or just I'm so interested in the real estate space, right? You've probably heard of people like Brent Daniels. Like these are people who are now customers that I talk to on the
Right.
phone. And real estate gives you the ability to like talk to in real estate celebrities and know what the heck they're doing and why they're so successful. And it's been a really cool journey to have access to people like this, because when I was with Smart Real Estate Coach for all those years, I remember this one story, and I told the story a couple of times. And there was this, because we were, and you too, Russell, right? We're diving into like podcasts of people we look up to in certain spaces that we follow. We want to know what they're doing because success leaves clues. Chris
Right.
has said it many times. And there was this guy, Jay Massey, who's, I forget where he is in the country. I
Yeah.
think he may be in Georgia or something, or I forget.
Yeah,
where he is.
Airbnb guru.
Yeah. So he's an Airbnb guy. He's a wizard. There's probably 2 people in the country that are like giant names in the Airbnb. There's a guy with Pace Morby named Noah something. Those are the 2 big guys. See? And I've been following and listening to Jay Massey's podcast for a while because I never bought a short-term rental, but this guy was dialed in. He knew his stuff and I really liked everything he was doing. So I go to a real estate event with Zach and a couple other coaches in Atlanta. And he told me, oh, Jay Massey's going to be there. This person, I'm like, Jay Massey's going to be there. Holy shit. That's crazy. That's really cool. I've been following this guy forever. He's a genius. I watched him on a big stage. There was like the main stage, and then there's all these little tiny conference rooms in a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched him on the big stage talk, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I can't believe I actually get to listen to this guy in person. This is wild. The next day, Smart Real Estate Coach has I think it was like an hour-long session in one of the rooms. People could pick between 4 rooms. Somebody was multifamily. Smart Real Estate Coach was creative.
Mm-hmm.
There may have been flippers, and then there may have been like a lending one. So I'm walking to go to that room, and the sign to walk in says Smart Real Estate Coach and Jay Massey. I'm like, what? And Jay, what do you mean to Jay Massey? I didn't know about this. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be in this tiny room with Jay Massey. How cool is this? So Zach's up there speaking, and I think it was the Gouchers at the time were there with me.
Uh-huh.
And Brian was there for a couple of days, but his son had a game, a really important baseball game, and he flew back for us. He wasn't there that day. So Zach's up there speaking, right? And Zach's out of nowhere. He goes, hey, Greg and Steve, do you want to do a role play? Jay Massey's on stage with them. I'm going to role play in front of Jay Massey. Oh my God. So it goes well. We do a role play. I'm freaking full of nerves, but it goes really well. And that was awesome. So that's a typical, Zach goes, that's great. That's a typical call. Obviously, Greg or Steve was easy on each other with certain questions, but that's the kind of the general structure of a call. It goes well. I sit back down. Zach and Jay are talking together. And then they're talking about, someone asked a question on stage in the crowd. Does this work on houses that are like need rehabs or they're inhabitable or something?
Of course.
Zach goes, Steve, why don't you come up here and tell them about one of your deals? Because I have an infamous deal that was like a mess and sold in 13 days.
No, it's not infamous. It's famous. It's not infamous. It worked out.
I'm sorry, famous.
It worked out.
So I'm standing in the middle of the stage. I got Zach on my right. I got Jay Massey on my left, who has headphones on because he always wears headphones. And I'm telling a story, right? And I'm
Yeah.
telling them about this story. And because I'm just good at storytelling and I love communicating in that kind of like long form fashion,
Yeah.
I'm explaining the whole deal. People are laughing. People are having a good time. Jay's laughing. He's talking to me. I'm like, how did I get here? How did I get here? Like I'm being looked at because I definitely had imposter syndrome for a long time. No matter how good I got at it, I felt that I didn't deserve to be up there with him. And then we had this incredible interaction. We're on stage talking together. People are looking at the three of us like we're equals. And I'm like, I'm not equal to this guy. This guy's a wizard. But it was like real estate provided me the ability to be next to a real estate hero of mine that I've been following forever, looking at like a giant. And he's no different than us. And he's fun and he's
Yeah.
easy to talk to. And people see value in us. And it was such a out of body experience. And it was a big learning lesson that like believe in yourself and just own everything you're doing. If you're passionate about it and you believe in it, just bring that energy the same way. And that was a big change for me. And that was
Yeah.
like, I don't have to try to be more than what I am. People will find value in it and it'll attract people. I just have to continue being authentic. And that was like such a big moment, but that kind of spiraled away from what you asked. But yes, I'm in a world of marketing now, where
Yeah.
it's giving me the ability to continue to meet these big people and find out what they're doing to be so successful. And there is so much I did not know. And I didn't start very long ago, but I love this space. Real estate has given me a weird pathway to places I never thought I would be. I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years, Russell. You don't know where you're going to be.
I had
All
no
we know
idea.
is it's a wild ride and it's
Yeah.
awesome.
So 2 things I got from that, and we're going to end it here, is be yourself and just show up. Right. And that's what you did. You've always been yourself. I think people are attracted to how you communicate and just the storytelling, and people are just like, and you are equal to these people, even though they have multiple million dollars, you are still equal to them because of what you do as far as how you approach life. You're just authentic. I've seen that from you last 5 or 6 years. And then you've shown up every day. You just keep showing up, and good things happen if you just keep, as my mom always says, just keep plugging along, just keep going. Don't give up. And then other doors are going to open, right? This door is open for you. And you're like, hey, I'm going to try it. So I'm passionate about learning more, and you're learning more, obviously. And you're going to bring what you're learning, you're going to bring that value to this podcast. So I appreciate it, man. Have a great rest of the weekend, and get your flip flops out, because it's probably been a while since you've had flip flops. I wear flip flops every day, so
Yep.
don't be jealous because I'm on the West Coast.
It's all right, dude. It's my daughter's 9th birthday today, so I will be doing
Happy
this.
birthday!
Yeah, kids are 9 and 7, Russell, and time waits for nobody. But here we are.
Yep. All right, buddy. We will see you next week. And again, we're going to bring, now that Steve is out of the coaching space and into this other space, it's going to expand this podcast. We'll be able to maybe go in some different directions other than creative. We're going to stick with the creative because that's what I do. That's what you're still continuing to do. But there's other things that we're going to bring to this podcast, and I look forward to that.
Thank you, Russell.
See ya.